It was Halloween night of 2009, my sophomore year in high school. I was with my friends, Paul, Ryan, and Jesse. We were all dressed as Super Mario characters. I was Luigi, since I was the second tallest. Paul was Mario, since he's short and buff, not that Mario's buff. Jesse was Waluigi because he's freakishly tall and skinny. And Ryan was Wario because he's just really fat. So they were the perfect group costumes for us. We live in a very non-congested suburban neighborhood with a decent amount of space in between houses. But on Halloween, that's the worst thing ever. Less bang for your buck and too much walking. We were trick-or-treating for hours, way past dark, when eventually came the time when most trick-or-treaters were heading home. My feet started to hurt, and I had to constantly switch arms for holding the now 10-pound pillow sack of candy, but we planned on going until our bags were completely full. A lot of the houses by now weren't answering anymore, and most light were off. It was probably past their cutoff time for giving candy to trick-or-treaters. Approaching our next house, we saw a purple bucket on the front porch, which was the best feeling ever. I was the first one to get close enough to realize it was empty, which was the worst feeling ever. I turned around. Then I hear a knock at the window of the house. We all looked at the window, couldn't see anyone, but heard someone call out, "Wait!" The door opened, and an older man, late 40s, already balding, stepped outside. He told us to come inside so he could get us some more candy. I said, we can just wait out here. He responded saying something along the lines of, "Nonsense, come on in, we'll get you your candy." Paul stepped in and said, "It's all right, come on Dan, let's go." I told the guy to take care and apologized. He just stood there, watching as we walked off, not saying anything. I felt bad, but at the same time, that guy seemed like a creeper, and I figured I'd just dodged a bullet not going in there. If the story ended here, it wouldn't be scary, but of course it didn't end here. We skipped a few of the guy's neighboring houses just to get further away and continued on with our night. We were walking down close to the edge of the woods now, so there weren't many houses around us. At this point, we were now walking back closer to Jesse's house. I noticed Ryan had stopped walking, and I turned around to see what was up. He said he heard someone moving from behind the trees in the woods. Now, this was before everyone's cell phones had flashlights, so we couldn't just go searching in the woods for someone. Besides, we were just telling Ryan that it must have been a raccoon or something. You may think this is a bit of a cliche, but when things like this happen in real life, you always assume the more logical possibility. It's just natural. But why would we assume we were being followed? I had to put my arm around Ryan's shoulder to nudge him forward. A little ways down the street, me and Paul picked up on the sound as well. When we all stopped, the sounds of the footsteps from behind the trees stopped as well. Paul yelled at the potential stalker to go away or we would beat the crap out of them. I knew he was just bluffing, though. I could hear the nervousness in his voice. The snap of a twig from behind the trees triggered a fight-or-flight response in all of us. Me, Jesse, and Ryan all ran for it. Paul was at first charging to attack, but he quickly followed the retreat when he realized we had all taken off. We ran down the dark street, and we all noticed the sounds of at least 2 or 3 pairs of footsteps crunching the leaves and the twigs in the woods. We banked it hard right down Jesse's street when it finally came up, and ran straight for his backyard, entering his house through the back door. The first thing we did was peek out through his living room window. We couldn't see anyone. We all had to gather our thoughts and discuss what the hell just went down, when, all of a sudden, we heard Jesse's backyard gate slam shut. Jesse dove to turn off the lights. There was a click and a bang from down in the den. It was more than likely Jesse's back door. "We all agreed to go down there, armed with knives, and face whoever it was." Jesse turned on his back door light, but there was nobody out there. Just then, the front door opened and we all screamed like babies. Jesse's mom and sisters came rushing downstairs. They had just gotten home from their friend's little house party. It was just them. Jesse explained what happened, but made it seem a lot less dramatic. Me and Paul went home after that and called it a night. At 12:30 a.m., I got a disturbing text message. It was from Jesse. It said, "It wasn't my mom." I texted back saying, "What?" He responded back quickly saying, "It wasn't my mom in the backyard." My fingers slammed the buttons on my phone, typing back, "What do you mean?" There was a long pause before he finally told me that his mom and sisters said they were never in the backyard. I told him to immediately check the backyard from his upper deck. He'd already done that. He also told his mom everything, and she had already called the police. They didn't find anyone back there, but Jesse did mention the guy who invited us in while trick-or-treating. Nothing ever became of that. And nothing ever happened at Jesse's house again after that one Halloween night. This took place during a blizzard in Buffalo. I was getting paid $350 to watch some couple's kid while they went away for the weekend. His name was Logan. This happened on the first night, which was Friday. Logan was already asleep while I was downstairs watching a movie. There was a knock at the door. I looked at the clock, and it was close to midnight, so there was no way I was opening it. Not even 10 seconds later, I heard the sound of 2 or 3 men angrily banging on the door, telling me to open up. I felt like my heart was about to stop. I took a peek through the blinds, and there was somebody standing right on the other side of the window. I fell back in fear, and after managing to get back on my feet, I ran to the kitchen phone to call the police. They said because of the weather, it could take a while for an officer to get here. I was told to take Logan and hide somewhere until an officer arrived. They wanted to keep me on the line, but I wasn't thinking clearly and hung up. But it wasn't until I ran through the living room that I realized the banging had stopped. I took a second peek through the living room window. Nobody was there now. Then I heard the sound of glass shattering from a few rooms over. My knees started to feel weak as I just realized they had broken a window and were about to enter the house. I had to run and get Logan. I couldn't just leave without him. Of course, when I got upstairs, there was no time left to run back downstairs, as I already heard footsteps and laughter coming from downstairs. I covered Logan's mouth with my hand as I ran with him into his toy closet. A few minutes dragged on to what felt like half an hour as we sat there in the dark closet. Logan began to squeal as footsteps on the carpet reached the outside of his bedroom door. There was more than one person. 2 or 3, at least. They came inside. There weren't many places to hide in this room. I was actually reflecting on my whole life, so sure I was going to die. We heard the sound of a police siren outside, even from in the closet. And then I heard one of the men in the room mutter, "Aw, crap! Let's get out of here." I opened the door back up as I heard at least 3 pairs of footsteps rushing down the stairs. They didn't get far, as the police found their footprints in backyard, leading to an old shed. There were 5 men in total, and they were all arrested. But to this day, I still wonder what would have happened to us if the police didn't get there when they did.
I used to work with an older guy, old enough to be my father. I tried to be friendly with him because we worked in nearby departments, and I didn't want any trouble. I guess no one was very nice to him there, so he took to me like butter to bread. He'd quickly leave his department if he saw me, and just chill in my department and do all my work for me. I never asked him to, and I preferred doing my own work because it gave me something to do. One day my car wouldn't start, so he offered me a ride home. I agreed because there was no way I could walk 10 miles home. From that point on, he would show up randomly at my house wanting to hang out or go out to eat or whatever. At first, I would let him stay for a few hours because I thought he was harmless. But after putting up with him every day for a week, at work and outside of work, I got annoyed. I started avoiding going home or pretending I wasn't home. He didn't like that too much. He started showing up at random places I was at. Movie theater, the mall, fast food places, even my mom's house one time. I couldn't figure out how he knew where the heck I was each time until a friend inspected my car and found a GPS tracker on it. Once he realized he couldn't find me anymore, he took to cornering me at work. One time he had me cornered and shoved his tongue into my mouth. Naturally, I freaked out and bit him. And once I was able to get away, I ran to the manager's office. It was caught on tape, thank heavens, and he was immediately fired. I ended up moving shortly afterwards and didn't tell anyone my forwarding address beyond family. I have him blocked on social media. I did see him once in a store, but I was with a friend who's built like a tank. I don't go to that store anymore.